Oh, hi. What's up? What are you guys doing here? You might be asking, what am I doing here? Well, I am here in the Swedish forest looking for metal bands. Unfortunately, the only one I found is the one on my shirt, so gotta try again next time. But speaking of metal bands, this is exactly what this video is gonna be about. So let me take you back home and we'll talk about it. And I'm back. Hi guys, what's up? My name is David and welcome back to my channel. I have returned to my apartment safe and sound, still haven't found any metalheads in this Scandinavian forest. But I would still like to talk to you about metal today. So I've been getting a lot of new subscribers recently, which is awesome, and I thought I would talk a bit about the lore, the backstory behind who I am as a person right now. And one part of that story, as you probably are able to tell based on my appearance, is that I listen to metal. And I don't want to make listening to metal music my entire personality, but it is definitely something that has shaped how I look like, what I do in my life, what my hobbies are, etc. So today I would like to talk about how my interest in metal and similar types of music have led me to become the person I am today. So for context, I am a trans man, and one thing that people notice about me as a trans man is that I choose to have long hair. And obviously, in general society, sometimes having long hair is seen as something feminine. For me, however, having long hair signals that I am a metalhead, as well as the tons of band shirts that I own, like this one from Skullmode. But yeah, the thing is, I have pretty much had long hair for almost my entire life, and I always wanted to keep having long hair. The only reason I cut it is to be able to pass as male because, before I had started testosterone, obviously I would have looked like a girl if I had kept my long hair. So the moment I did start hormones, I grew it back out. And that's where we are today. But yeah, basically being in this metal space and seeing other long haired men basically made me realize I'm trans and also led me to study the things that I'm studying today. So let's start from the beginning. When I was 4, I moved with my parents from Poland to the Netherlands. And since my parents were both teachers, they thought it was important for me to keep speaking my native language. And that is why they put me in a Polish online school alongside my normal Dutch school, which I started at 4. Now, this is important for the story, okay? So this was not just a school for learning Polish, the language. This was just like a normal Polish school, but online. I have an officially recognized Polish diploma alongside my Dutch one. And at some point, I believe I was 9 or 10 years old, I had this amazing history teacher who liked to illustrate her stories by using music. And at some point, when we were discussing the Second World War, she showed a clip from the song Panzerkampf by Sabaton. Now, Sabaton is a pretty popular band. I'm guessing many of you know this. And they are from Sweden. And although this particular song I was shown was in English, I really fell in love with the band and decided to listen to their other stuff. And they have this album called Carolus Rex, which is in Swedish and is about Swedish history. So that led me to wanting to learn Swedish, which leads me to where I am right now in life. I am at the end of my second year of my bachelor in Scandinavian Studies, and I currently am in Sweden on exchange. So this really was a core memory for me, and listening to metal in one way or another led to where I am in life right now. But this is not all. So for a long time, Sabaton was really the only metal band I listened to. During my earlier youth, I still consider myself being in my youth. I mean, I'm only 19. But then I believe when I was 12, 13, when I had just come out as trans, I was shown this song that is basically become a meme, which is the Finnish song Jevan Polka. And I really enjoyed the song actually, And at some point, I don't know how this happened, but I found a metal version of it on YouTube by the Finnish band Korpiklani, which is at the moment my absolute top one favorite band. So that kind of got me back into the whole metal thing, and I actually started to listen to more stuff. But for a long time, Sabaton and Korpiklani were the like top ones. But yeah, that YouTube rabbit hole basically led me to discovering other Nordic metal bands. And the thing is with Korpiklani is that they are a folk metal band. And another thing you should know about me is that I grew up playing classical violin. So naturally, this led me to folk metal. And then and a step further from folk metal is this vague genre that Spotify labels as Viking music. Now, I have my thoughts on that label. Actually, my friend Jameson, who is an ethnomusicologist, has an entire video about the term Viking music and what he thinks of that as an expert on his channel. So I will put a link to that because that is probably more educative than my rant. But yeah, that whole vague genre of either Viking music, Viking folk, Nordic folk, Norse folk, dark ambient, dark folk. It's not metal because it's a completely different genre, but it's usually grouped together with metal. And generally, people who listen to the one tend to also listen to the other. And that also brings me back to my appearance as a person. So within these spheres, there are a lot of people who look exactly like me. Now, I am perfectly aware that my appearance and my identity as a queer pagan are not seen as the norm in general society, but in these spheres of metalheads and people who listen to this vague other genre, it is very common to be queer, which is surprising to some, but actually there's a lot of queer people who are in those spaces because they allow you to express alternatively than what is typically considered normal in society. And of course, not every queer person wants to look outside of the norm, but many find joy in different types of self expression, so it does make sense. And then, of course, there's a lot of long haired men, which is the representation I need. So when I first started going to concerts when I was 14, I believe, I went to my first like metal concert on my own in the beginning of 2020, and it was the band Dimmu Borgir, which is a Norwegian black metal band. And then COVID hit, so I couldn't go to any other concerts in the next almost 2 years. But yeah, I saw a lot of people that I wanted to look like because I don't. Well, now I do because I have a lot of metalhead friends, but back then I didn't really see anyone who I wanted to look like in my real life. I only saw these people at these specific events or in the music videos of the bands that I was watching and listening to. So yeah, that is the reason why I look like I look like right now. And I know there's this whole argument by transphobes that people online are influencing children to want to look the way that they look. And I don't think I've ever been influenced by a trans person online and thought I would like to look like them. Even before I knew I was trans, I was just seeing these long haired metalhead Viking cosplaying men. Sorry, historical reenactment. I will not call it cosplay. Okay, I'm sorry, I do this too. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, okay, I really would love to look like that. And at the beginning, of course, I didn't really, it wasn't like an active thing, like, okay, I want to look like that. I'm going to do everything to look like that. It was just like, wow, I wish I was a man so I could look like that. And then I discovered that trans people exist and I could actually look like that. So yeah, here I am. If I could travel back in time and show myself to younger me, he would be very, very, very happy that we got to the place we are today. But basically, going back to my rediscovery of metal when I found the metal version of Jevan Polka, that also ultimately led me to studying Scandinavian studies because there was this period in my younger high school years where I wanted to do something more technical. And I don't know why, because I have always been interested in languages, history, geography, cultures, and archaeology. And at some point, I don't know, I was trying to fit in. I was trying to see societal trends and be like, okay, it is more expected of this younger generation to go into something more technical. Like, I was in the high school robotics team. That was fun, but not something I would like to do in my future career, work, life. And then I discovered this whole music genre. I was like, back to my previous hobbies. And yeah, Finnish is not the Scandinavian language, but listening to Finnish music by Kapiklani led me back to music in Swedish, Norwegian, Icelandic, Old Norse, Danish, all that. So that kind of like helped me rediscover who I was all along and what I wanted to do all along. Bear in mind, I come from a family of people who also studied linguistics. My dad was a German teacher. My sister studied Jewish studies, and my grandpa was a Russian teacher. So realistically, me ending up this way was not shocking. I just had to be reminded of my genetic predisposition for learning languages. But yeah, that's how I ended up here. I now would say that I speak Swedish fluently. I started learning it on Duolingo the moment I got my first smartphone when I was finishing primary school. That was a long time ago. But yeah, Duolingo is not great for actually learning a language. So now I have been studying it at university level, and I can communicate within Swedish society as I have gotten to experience. I've been on exchange here in Stockholm for the past 5 months, and I'm leaving next week. So it was fun, and I will probably return to settle permanently in Sweden. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, my life choices seem to be very much influenced by the type of music I listen to. And, music is a powerful tool. It can have a multitude of effects on the human brain. And I have met a lot of people through the same type of music that I listen to. And I find that to be the best friends I have made at concerts, at festivals. So, yeah, if you are interested in which music I exactly listen to, here is a list from stats for Spotify from the past 6 months. So these are the bands I listen to right now most often. Like, I switch between listening to more metal versus listening to more like other folky stuff, but it is still within this metal, folk metal, Viking music framework. So yeah, if you are also a fan of any of these bands, let me know down below. I'm always looking for people with the same musical interests. And if there's any bands that you would like me to check out, or just if you want to tell me about your favorite bands or artists, then feel free to let me know down below in the comments. So yeah, this was a more personal video, but I thought it would be fun to make since a lot of you are new here, and I just wanted to give some context to me. So I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, enjoy one of the last videos I will be making here in Sweden, because I'm going back home soon. Yeah, bye bye.